Good afternoon, happy Sunday, people. My name is Breeze from the Amateur Football YouTube channel. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for the people who are already tuning in. 4 people already. Thank you so much. This is a very special Sunday. Of course, I call this Super Sunday. And if you want to know more about Super Sunday, please click the notification bell, subscribe to the channel, shout me out, tell me what you guys are doing. I'm here for you guys. But you know what? Let me stop waffling. Let me just stop waffling. So on the other line, or literally, I'd say in the studio, I have a very special guest. And, we're going to be cutting a few things up. And, again, I don't want to talk too much because this guy has crazy amounts of knowledge. So let me introduce to you Jeffrey Lawal Balogun. Is that right?
Yes, that's right. That's right. Perfect.
How you doing, sir?
I'm good, thank you very much. How are you?
Good. Yes, I am well. Yeah, I am well. I am well. So, okay, the first one, afternoon to James. Hope you are well. And again, thank you for tuning in. Jeffrey. Okay, you know what? Let's go straight into it. Jeffrey, can you please tell your viewers your journey thus far as an athlete?
Okay, cool. So I started pretty late actually. I started around 19. I was in college and someone saw me running and brought me to my coach, Clarence Calada. So he's one of the Olympic relay medalists for GB. And then from there, I think it was about 2 years with him. I went to my first international competition at the European Championships under 23s, and then didn't do too well there because the experience was, I've only been in the game for about 2 years, but it was a good experience, and I was able to represent the country at that point. So it was really good at the time. And then I did a lot of international competitions, went abroad and raced internationally. Part of some great relay teams. So yeah, it was really good journey. My best, if we're going to talk about times, my best is 20.3.
Okay, that's good.
So that's a really good time, really respectable time, I would say. Still respectable. But as they talk about, going 19 seconds. So yeah, and then my 100-meter time is 10:21. Not as impressive as for me as the 200. I prefer the 200. It was my event, but it's still a good time. And then from there, just once I retired, I had a short career as well because I retired maybe about 7 years, 8 years. And usually in sport, especially in athletics, you normally have a little bit longer, maybe 15 years. Sometimes if you start really young, you can go 20. But I did enjoy my experience in the sport, and it was a really positive experience. And I can always share this with a lot of people that are trying to, aspire to do great things, that anything is possible, as long as you put your mind to it and you work really hard and you're guided by the right person. I think that's really important.
Yeah, perfect. And who were the people you were looking up to at, the kind of 200 and 100-meter runners? Who were the people that you that's the person that I would love to try and emulate?
Okay, so there was a guy, I'm not sure if anyone knows, there was a guy called Julian Golden. He was a really good athlete, 200-meter athlete, and he was, when I was an athlete, was my mentor at the time, actually. And I was always used to say, I want to be like you. I want to be like you. So he was, so I looked up to him so much. And I think, I'm trying to think if was there another person that I looked up to. I think by the time Bolt was running, because I was running when Bolt was running, but he wasn't a person that I looked up to at the time. He wasn't. But I obviously highly respected. He's a record, world record holder. But I think when I was at my prime, it was about Julian Golden. We used to have regular meetings before a major championships or before a national championships. So Yeah, so maybe research him up. His name's Julian Golding.
Okay, we'll do that. I mean, see, like I might be showing like my age, but I remember John Regis. Like
Yeah,
he was
he's still the record holder now, actually.
Yeah. You know, again, we kind of had, really kind of course, Lift Christie. You know, literally that was kind of like my generation of kind of GB runners. So no, again, you as a speed demon, I can kind of definitely say it. I could never catch you, and it's funny how you said like when you said 10.21 at 100 meters, and like he was like, oh, that's not quick. Listen, that's quick. That you are literally not gonna get caught for dust. So hey, what? You can't play down your achievements. You can't play down.
Yeah, for sure. And I to be honest, I don't. But in comparison to, let's say, another sprinter, 10:21, like in the Olympic Games, you would get knocked out in the semis, or you wouldn't even make the semis. It'd be just the heats, But in regards to like the Europeans, you may get something. But like I said, what I rate myself is more the 200. I would consider myself as a 200-meter runner. It's a little bit longer, a lot of people say it's a little bit harder depending on the type of athlete you are. But yeah, so no, you're right. I mean, it's still a respectable time. I think I've still got my competitive hat on. Where would this get me? So
no, brilliant. And let's kind of move on to like next point. Fast twitch fibers 101. Can you please break down in terms of what twitch fibers are? Okay. And as a kind of person that doesn't really know what like.
Yeah, so we have two types of fibers. We have a slow twitch fibers, which is what, like, say for example, the marathon runners use, and then we have let's say fast twitch fibers, which is what the sprinters use. And we, believe it or not, obviously we have an energy system that we use to train these fibers. They call it like energy systems. And let's say if you're going into like short sprints, you would that's training your fast twitch fibers. And if you was doing long stuff like jogging and long marathon run, then you're training the slow twitch fibers. And what predominantly as a footballer or as a speed, maybe rugby, athletics, football, anything that you need to move quickly in, you need to be training your fast twitch fibers. And I think if a team had full of fast twitch fibers on their team, let's say for example, then obviously you would need let's take away the managing side and the skill side. That's going to be you're going to get the ball moving around a lot because of the speed of the athletes. So when we're talking about fast twitch fibers, they're just muscle fibers that allow you to run fast and they move in a way that you can recover quickly, so you can go again. It's like almost like shorter muscle fibers to allow you to sprint faster. Sorry, I can't hear you. So.
And is it kind of something that you can increase with like training?
Yes, definitely. Anyone can increase their fast twitch fibers. Anyone can increase or have more fast twitch fibers, whether or not, because it comes down to the individual. So let's say, for example, your best is 11 seconds, just as an example, and you train fast twitch fibers, you are able to, I can't tell you how quickly you can move from that 11 seconds, but you are able to improve your speed via fast twitch fibers training, I would say, or using the right energy systems to be able to get to where you need to go.
Okay. And can footballers increase their fast?
Yes, all footballers can. Anyone can increase their fast twitch fibers. Anyone can increase their fibers. It's basically a training method. So, for example, if you have a 12-year-old football player, just an example, up to a 26-year-old football player, you can always increase your fast twitch fibers. You can always improve to get faster, as long as you're using the right muscles. Because the thing is I wouldn't say a dangerous game. I don't want to use the word dangerous game, but you have to be knowledgeable, because you might do too much of something and then it becomes an injury. So you obviously have to. The recovery has a really important factor when you're training fast twitch fibers. Making sure you have adequate rest. Diet is obviously an important factor when you're training fast twitch fibers. But anyone can generally train fast twitch fibers as long as they take the right protocols, the right recovery, and not being on your, like we're in an age where it's the millennium age and everyone's on their phones in the middle of the night. I always say, because I coach some athletes, but we'll go that in a second. But I always say to them, your sleep is your protein, and rather than taking protein shake, the first thing you need to do in regards to recovery is sleep. Because that's the predominantly the main. That's when you improve the most, is whilst you're sleeping. As long as you train really hard and you're sleeping and you're resting well and you're giving yourself enough rest from one workout to another, you're able to train and to improve your speed, definitely.
Okay, cool. And before we kind of go on to the next point, I want to thank everyone that's watching. If you've kind of got any questions regarding, improving your speeds or any kind of questions about sport, please put it in the comments, and Jeffrey will actually answer it. So let's go on to the next point. The speed generation in sport. How important is it now regarding speed and mobility, not just in football, but in sport in general?
Yeah, I mean, speed. I mean, if you look at rugby, you look at athletics, even if you look at football, speed is a really big factor, especially when you want to be have an advantage against your opponents. If you have good speed and you can generate speed, as we spoke about in terms of fast twitch fibers, but speed in general across the board is, I would say, the number one thing that creates an advantage. Obviously, you can have skill. Skill is a factor, but if someone has speed, then I've watched quite a few games, and you see the guy just kick the ball and then he just sprints and no one can catch him. And for me, that's an advantage. And yes, don't get me wrong, he may have natural speed, but you can also train to have speed as well. And speed is broken down into different sections. You have speed endurance, you have speed maintenance, you have something that's called ATP, which I'm going science here, where it's like the short bursts, which is a lot of the footballers would use the short burst system, as well as the long, where you're running from one end to the other, depending on the formation of the game. But you would generally have good advantage as a whole. If, say, for example, you had one team that was really quick in terms of speed and you have another team that was average, obviously you depend on the management of the team and obviously the structure. The team that's the quickest is going to have a lot more in the bag. It's going to have a lot more capabilities of doing a lot more because they have speed, obviously. And I think speed is obviously going to be a factor. I'm going to say that, especially when I was an athlete, and I think with the athletes that I have now, speed is a main thing, and it's something that needs to be understood as well. It could easily, as you could say, I would run. Let me just run every day. Let me just sprint every day. Yes, it might improve your speed, but how much is it going to improve by? How much are you resting? So it's just little things that I would say. Yes, you can. Overall, in sport, you would have a better advantage in terms of moving from one end to the other. And if you had someone else that wasn't as quick as you, think about the advantages. I mean, I don't know if I wouldn't even use the word common sense, but I think if let's all agree that if we were quicker, then obviously we'd be able to have more time to think as well, in comparison to maybe, say, your opponent that's not as quick. But yeah, I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah. No, and you was kind of talking about a player who is possibly quicker than another, and okay, so as a defender, would like my speed training be like different than a winger or a forward, or like if I was a prop, would I be would like my speed training would be different than a hooker or a winger or a forward? Like,
Yeah.
you know.
So remember earlier I mentioned something about energy systems.
Mm,
So say, for example, if you had someone, a winger that needed to run, let's say 60, 70 meters, or someone that needed to run maybe 20, 30 meters. Yes, if you wanted to optimize their positions, they would be different. If you, let's say you isolated their positions, yes, they would. Predominantly, it's the same, and it's the same kind of training, but you might want to optimize. It's like saying, I don't know, if you had a rugby player that needed to do shorter distances,
mhm.
he would then focus on the shorter distances. He might do an over distance kind of, maybe if he's running over like 20, 30 meters, he might do 40. But then you might have someone that's running, let's say, for example, 60 meters, he might do 60, 70. So it just depends on the positions. And I would, if I had a team that was focusing on speed, I would definitely optimize their positions and train them in isolations from their positions. Definitely,
Okay.
100%. That's what I would do. But
Cool. And so let's kind of talk about Sunday League players. Have you kind of seen like a difference in kind of fitness and in, I'd say, regime or routine?
yeah, I mean, so I would say generally, if you're doing football, your fitness, your aerobic fitness is generally good, depending on obviously the team and how they train, obviously. But aerobically, which is like the longer runs, they're really really good. But I would say in regards to like let's say anaerobic fitness. So for example, the shorter distances, the bursts. Um, obviously I can't speak for every team, but I would say if they focused on it. So if it was in isolation. So for example, they have their training, they do their their skills, their plays, but then they moved away from that and they went into speed training. Like it would be critical. That could be the difference between winning and losing a game, to be honest. And I think yes, if like I said, if we're talking about energy systems, you might be fit in aerobic energy, but not be anaerobically fit. So not doing the short shot. Like you might be able to just give me like maybe 10 short sharp bursts and then you're out. You can't do any more because you're physically tired. So training that energy system allows all fitness across the board to be better if you focused on particular areas. So areas in isolation.
Okay.
But yeah, like I said, if we had a team that was focused on let's say for example their skills, their positionings, their plays, and then they also focused on speed training, it would give them a huge advantage. Like for example, I train this guy, and I don't want to mention his name because I haven't asked him to use his name, but he's said that he's improved so much, and he never made no tries until he started training with me, and that's because he's able to do a lot more. He's a lot more anaerobically fit as well as aerobically fit as well. So I think having fitter players, and I don't mean being anaerobically, I mean aerobically fit. I'm talking about across the board as an area. So he's able to optimize his skill play. He's still you have a lot of attention span that he's able to do that, but he's also able to work on his short, sharp burst, his long, whoever, depending on the position, his wing run, and still maintain fitness. Then that for sure it's going to help him definitely for sure.
Okay. And again, I'm kind of asking you because like you are like the professional. How long would it take? Okay, someone in their 30s to see improvements in their fitness and their speed?
I mean, generally you improve, like depending on how your recovery, depending on the training regime, you usually could feel personally the difference. So what I mean by that is that you know that it's easier from the last time you did let's say the similar sort of workout. So you generally would feel differently in terms of like a marginal, like a huge margin in terms of improvements. It normally takes about, let's say say 6 to 8 weeks. Could take longer depending on your fitness. So that's why when you're doing this, it's probably best to do it in like the pre-season, or when you're getting ready for a season, just that training period before you actually start the season. it's probably best to do it then than any other time, because if you're going to try and do it whilst you're in a game, it's too late. You'll probably start seeing improvements when the season's over, and that's not what you want. So it does take a bit of time, especially when it needs to be understood as well, in terms of like your brain. If you keep doing something, your brain gets used to it, and it almost finds the neurons of the right energies to make sure that you're doing fast sprints, and it's used to it. And so I think yeah, I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah. No, and so like, again, I think all of us know that outdoor sports will be allowed from, I think, the week beginning the 29th of March, and there's literally like a lot of people out there that have league games and cup games. So let's say now would be like the perfect time, like 6 to 8 weeks now, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, so I would agree. I mean, now is probably the perfect time, because like you may not want, because it depends on the strategy of the manager or the coach. If he decides that he wants to, make his first game just to see where they are, and then as they get into the structure of the game, then he might want to make the third, fourth game to be his best running, or to be in top shape, or there might be a goal, maybe the final. The manager knows that, or hopes that they're going to make the finals, so they want to be the best in the final. I mean, I'm only suggesting this is because as a coach myself, and when I'm training my athletes, you train really for a particular event. So you might have like events before the major event, or they have something called English schools, where a lot of the younger ones, that's their aims, to go to English schools and then to become an international runner and so on. So you have the small introduction meet. I don't know, you're gonna have to correct me if I'm wrong here. When you have games that it's going to lead you to a final, depending on, or lead you to become the best in the league based on points scoring and stuff like that. So you want to make sure that I don't know if you want them to be dependent on the positioning or the format, because it's very different when it comes to like football. It's a team thing, so you're relying on each other. But I think overall performance, if the performance was huge in terms of everyone contributing towards it, it makes it so much easier to create formation, to create strategies, and I think speed generally helps most things, and it helps you strategize most things. I'm not saying it's the fundamental, but it does make a big difference. It does make a big difference.
Cool. Caldecott Arms, thank you for like coming on, and they haven't got a question. Do you think players different metabolisms have a huge impact in speed also?
Yeah, so I think it really depends on the individual. I think it does, but you need to know yourself as the coach needs to know the athlete, or the player. So are we talking about the metabolisms that you're like in terms of weight loss? Is that the
well, I mean, I'm actually guessing that there's probably some like people or players that can eat, crap loads of food, and literally they just don't
yeah.
home
You're right. Yes, exactly. So the metabolism does play. I have an athlete. I have two types of athletes. I have an athlete that basically he eats whatever he likes. He does get hurt a lot because he's not eating the right foods. But if a different athlete was to do exactly the same, they would just blow up. So that's why I say you have to know the athlete as an individual, or the player as an individual, and they also have to know that what their metabolism's like. If they know that they're going to be putting on weight because they're eating so much food, then I think you should limit those. It makes a difference. I mean, we're all different. The one thing that I would say, yes, you can apply science to everyone, but everyone that you're applying science to is different. And I think that has to be considered when you're, when you have an athlete, or when you have a player on your team. Like, if a diet structure, whether or not you're going to put a weight or not, we're going to talk about injuries. some athletes are really lucky. Their metabolisms are so awesome. They can eat whatever they like. They've never been injured in their life. But sometimes that catches up as well. If you want to be top shape and top form in the future to come, then wouldn't you look after yourself? If you want to be, some people, yes, they play socially, but a lot of people actually want to do something with it. And I think it's really important that they know. Some they don't know, so they'll be eating packet of crisps and things that they shouldn't be eating, and say, oh well, it's potato chips. Sometimes it's to do with knowledge, and they don't actually know that it's not good for them. And I think the amount of salt that a packet of crisps contains is a lot. I'm not a dietitian, but I do know when I was in my prime that dietary was the main thing. I think dietary was the beginning of my success. Once I understood this, you can't eat this, you need to eat this, you can't eat that, then it enhanced my performance. So yes, metabolism does have an impact on players individually. However, if you know the individual and they can get away with stuff, then yeah, you know what, as much you want to have fun as well. You don't want to feel like that I need to do this because I that's what I'm like. But it doesn't mean that everyone should have that same. Well, I think everyone should have that same, but obviously everyone's entitled to their. Everyone does things differently, and I think once you understand yourself as an individual, like I never used to eat badly anyway. I still don't eat badly, to be honest. But I think it does have an impact. And I think to monitor food and their food intake is going to be really important from football players to football players. So I don't know if that answers that question. I hope.
Yeah. No, you know what? Literally, it can answer that fully. So thank you for Caldicott. And I've got Davey Wales. Thank you for this question. Tips for regaining speed after an injury, recovering ACL rupture, and concerned that speed won't return.
Okay. Well, to be honest, that's a really good question.
Yeah, it is.
I believe with the right protocols, with the right rehab, with the right, taking your time, it could come back. Because I've seen in athletics, you've seen there's so much injuries that people come back from, and I've seen people do some remarkable things. I think as long as you are strong-minded and you're able to push through those, because the challenge is knowing that you're not where you are, knowing that you do have these injuries, but still trying to push through. And I think those are the challenges more than the actual body recovering from it. Because when you're injured, you don't feel the same. You feel like the mountain's higher to climb. So I think once you push yourself, once you are patient, once you follow the protocols, once you take the right, your dietary plays a part. Once you put all those things into, let's say, a ball, I do believe you can get your speed back. Definitely.
Yeah. And, I think it's one of those things where you've got to listen to your physio. You have to listen to your doctors. You can't push yourself. So, it's kind of, exactly what you said before, like with a kind of ACL injury and, literally kind of wishing you like a speedy recovery. It's, you kind of have that urge to kind of get back as soon as possible.
Yeah.
But, it is about taking your time and kind of, mentally, it's, literally going to, be like a big layoff. So, so you've got to also exercise and train your mind as well. So
exactly.
Yeah.
And I think also just to interject there, I think also it's the mind that would allow this to happen. As in, it's the mind that won't allow you to return to the speed that you were. If you have a strong mind and you're patient and you listen to the right, your physios, you listen to your coach, and the people that know what they're doing, then I think that you can go in the right direction as long as you want to go in that direction.
Yeah, perfect. And I think Collie Koch said, thank you for in answering that question before. Great insight. So before we kind of go into the next bullet point, I just want to show you guys a quick little promo video. Hey, I've got my bag right here as well. Got my bag, Train for Speed. Before we kind of go on, Davey Wales has said thank you for the advice. So before we kind of go into that next point, I've got my bands here. I don't know if you guys can actually see them here. And you know what? I'm literally gonna give you like guys like a little secret, and also for you, Jeffrey, I've not opened them. I haven't opened them because I'm gonna do a proper review. So I'm gonna literally review these from the bag to opening them. So guys, there's literally a lot of things going on, behind the scenes. So let's kind of go straight into it. Train for Speed. Can you please talk about your business?
Okay, cool. So what I'll do is I'll kind of give you the journey towards that path. So once I decided to stop, I was obsessed with it still. I was still like intrigued. You know, I was still all about athletics, and it becomes addictive. And then I had a group of athletes, and they were doing really well. Someone ranked top 10 in the country, and then the stories that they say to you, because I've got like a story here, and I'm quite what would I say? I'm proud of it. And it's just stories like this that allows when you look back into things that you've done, and you can bring that onto the next generation of people. And then I started to train for speed about 3-4 years ago. And at first it was more about training. I did rugby players, and I did also some footballers, and I did some athletes, and they started doing really well. Everyone was talking from different industries, were talking about their successes and what the world they did, and it made me obviously proud. So I decided, what were the elements, what were the things that I needed to enhance, so that even they are with me, what could they do in their own time? What things that could they do that would allow them to improve, even though they're not with me? Because we're dealing with people that some of them are going to work, some of them are going to school, and they may have exams and stuff like that. So what I did, I created something that allows them to do some exercises at home. And I have really good exercises that they can do, and they can build their muscles. They build the right muscles so that it allows them to build speed. And I think, yes, you can build speed through fast twitch fibers. Believe it or not, when you're sprinting, you tear down your muscles, and it comes back and it regenerates and gets bigger, or it gets stronger. But I believe if you did exercises that would allow you to, you could do it by yourself. You can do it at home. You can do it whilst you're in the gym. You can do it before a match. You can do it depending on the structure. I don't want to get into anyone's training regime, but you could do it. Like for my athletes, they can do it before competition. They do it before training. Some of them do it after training. Some of them do it at home. And it's just building the right muscles. For example, your hamstrings, glutes, your quads, those things around that mid area, your core, back. The bands are really useful for building yourself. So then that's when I released a product which allows not just my athletes, but my athletes are just an example of what the rest of the world are going through in regards to what's required to be stronger, to be faster, to have a lot better agility, because they're able to have a lot more control. Some, depending on the age, people are growing all the time, and the center of mass changes. So you want to be able to control your body and your limbs and your movements. Yeah.
Yo, tell me about it. Tell me about it.
Yeah. So so then I decided to do some bands, which for me, for my athletes, it's done wonders. It's done wonders. I had athletes that were like 400th in the country, and now they're like I would say top 15. I don't want to push it, top 15, top 20. For me, that's a massive jump. And it's because I've understood, that they need some things that would allow them to run faster or to move quicker. So that's why I've done Train for Speed, which is good.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna say now, we are going to do a few videos, and in terms of how to use the kind of resistance bands properly.
Yeah.
I will be a guinea pig, which is going to be very, very, very interesting. But kind of also as well, Jeffrey's going to kind of front a lot of those videos. Yeah. And again, people out there, we're talking Sunday League footballers, rugby players, anyone that kind of uses their mobility and actually speed. And again, that let's be real, like throughout lockdown, a lot of us have been sitting down. People at work like may have like lost a bit of mobility. Like these exercises that Jeffrey's going to create, these are going to be for like everyone. So yeah, some really, really, really exciting times.
Yeah, definitely. I think once you apply some type of activity, because yes, there's going to be a lot of people that are needing to catch up. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to be missing out. They're not in the same shape as they left before this lockdown. So I think generally it's useful to have some tools that allow you to then get stronger in certain areas. I think we've been on lockdown off and on for about a year. So imagine what type of shape I don't really know what in terms of what footballers are doing at the moment, but I think it's really important that we do create some type of exercises that would allow them to have a stronger mobility, because right now, I don't know what anyone's doing, but we need to consider about injuries and stuff like that, because a lot of people haven't been doing anything for a while. And I think to jump back in and try and be the person that you were, not even as a coach, but as as an athlete, you want to, I want to get back, and they're pushing themselves. And so it's always good to have some exercises that would allow you to then execute what you want to deliver, and it makes you stronger. To be honest, it makes you stronger. It makes you a lot more agile, a lot more robust when you're playing games as well. So
cool. So guys, let me just put out this video again, so you guys know what these bands can actually do for you. Brilliant. And there is going to be a link in this video or somewhere in the description. And if you guys are kind of interested in kind of purchasing some resistant bands, this link will actually give you 10% off. It is an affiliate link, so again, it's literally going to help the channel. So again, watch out for the videos, watch out for the reviews. This is going to be a collaboration, a partnership that is literally going to be long term. So I can't wait. I cannot wait. So let's kind of go on to the next bullet point: 3 tips to improve foot speed as a Sunday League footballer.
Okay, so I would say the first one, which is going to be for me, is about building the strength around the areas that we spoke about earlier. So I think understanding that, once you have the strength, then I think then you're able to then get faster foot speed. That's one. The next one will probably be about diet. I think we spend a lot of time eating whatever we like, and we believe it's going to burn off because we're in sport or we're active. I would say that you treat yourself as a Ferrari, and put yourself in a better position so that you have less injuries. Make sure that when you go home, it's the aftercare, stretching when you're at home, taking warm baths, getting massages. Those things for me is so if we're going to say one point, it's more about the aftercare. The aftercare, making sure that you look after yourself 24/7 rather than only when you have a match, or rather when you're there and you're with your team. That's one tip. My second tip will probably be dietary. I know I kind of like brushed over it on the first tip, but I'm really strong on the diet side of things because maybe because I've come from a strict regime of diet, so I understand, and I'm always on it when it comes to my athletes. Like we have weekly conversations about diet and things that they've eaten and things that they can replace the stuff that they would normally be eating. And let's say, for example, you could replace, I don't know, pineapple for packet of crisps, and they've seen the difference, less injuries, less niggles, and so I think for me it's that's probably the second point is the dietary. The last one is keep consistent. Once you're consistent, once you're consistently training, consistently doing the diet, consistently doing the aftercare, then you're going to improve. Consistency is always going to be key. Making sure that you're there with your training, and if you do have bands, making sure that you're keeping a regime with the bands. Don't think, oh, well, I've done it once, let me not do it again. You have to keep doing it as a routine, and I think that generally will sum up in regards to, for a footballer especially, improvements in speed and making sure that you're going to be a better player, especially like from game to game too. So yeah, I don't know if that answers that question, but I think yeah, it is really important to have those factors. Football is very competitive, and you want to be the best skilled, you want to be the fastest, you want to be the fittest, but at the end of the day, you have to work at it. You have to work at things. You have to be consistent with things. So
yeah. And I've kind of got a question, and again, this is kind of more of a selfish question. I mean, is it better to work out in the morning or in the evening, or like, does it really matter?
I mean, there are some science to say working out in the morning. There are also some science to say that it works out in the evening. Sometimes it's really down to the lifestyle. I believe a lot of the professionals, they train in the morning, but then if you have to work, then you may have to, or you got school or university, you may have to train in the evening. So you may not have that choice. I think obviously if you train in the morning, you have a longer day, but it just depends on what position you're in and what you're trying to achieve. But yeah.
Okay, cool.
I don't know if that answers that question, because it's really down to lifestyle. If I would say what would I prefer, and when I was training, when I was training, it'd probably be in the morning, because I would train and then I would still have time to do what I wanted to do. It wouldn't have to take time out of my day. I could just train, focus on training, and I was fully rested because I was awake. When you wait until the evening, you might have had a long day at school. So it just depends on the lifestyle of the individual, and that's probably what I would say. Yeah.
Okay. And again, another selfish question. So with water and these isotonic drinks, what like are the pros and cons for like both? Or literally, are both of them pros? What's having
I have a mentor at the moment. His name is Mike Afalaka. He's one of the few that have trained someone to run 19, and he and one of the things that he would say is that you need to prepare for everything you're doing. So in relations to the water and the isotonic drinks, I would say you drink water throughout the day mostly, because them isotonic drinks have got a lot of sugar in them. So if you wanted that burst, you might have that isotonic drink for the game, but you wouldn't have it leading up. You would drink water 90% of the time, and then maybe have the isotonic drink for the sugar rush, so you can be a lot more active. But then the I would say the pros and the cons is that you may be up because your energy is really high, and then once the sugar rush goes, then you're really, really low. So I would say personally, what I did was I drank water most of the time, and then if I needed some type of energy, I would have like slow released energy. So like, for example, banana.
Okay.
Things that will make you that would last longer, and it gives you that boost. But in regards to, let's say, in comparison, water is always going to be the number one, and then everything else is going to be a substitute. But I don't mean substitute as in replace the water. I just mean like have time for your isotonic drink. So you're not going to drink isotonic drink throughout the week, and then when it comes to the game, that's when you're going to start drinking water. Okay. It doesn't work like that. It's the other way around. You drink water throughout the time, and then when it comes to your game, you have the isotonic drink for the extra boost, or to get that energy up. I don't know if that answers that question.
Yeah. Cool. And I've got another question, and again, this might be quite hard to answer, but I'd say like a lot of the people who are kind of watching now, and I'd say people who are going to watch this on like replay, play Sunday League football, and kickoff time is around 10:30, and the meetup time is 9:30. So could you kind of give us maybe one or two exercises that players should be doing before they meet at 9:30, and then one exercise before kickoff at 10:30?
Yeah, you're probably right. It is hard to answer. I mean, everyone's different, right? Everyone has their regime. Everyone knows what works for them. However, if I based it on what worked for me, what I used to do an hour before the game or an hour before a race, I would do some stretching, get myself mobile, maybe take a hot bath or hot shower to get things moving around and to feel very relaxed. And in regards to it, I mean, it's really about stretching, making sure that you're relaxed, your body's calm. Meditation is a really good exercise to do before a game. But obviously, I don't want to intrude in anyone's game practice. But I think it depends on what works for you. But yeah, meditation is always going to be good. Stretching is going to be good. I used to take hot baths just to get my blood circulating around my body, feeling warm and not feeling stiff. But I think that answers your question.
Yeah. No, cool. And like George has come in. Thank you, George. I came back from an ACL surgery and back injury in his late 30s, and he was tearing up teenagers. So it's kind of definitely possible to come back strong. Depends on how committed you are and what your goal is. So thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's true. I mean, it's kind of all about it's literally what your end goal is, and and your mental capacity, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And like I mentioned this before, it's all about what you're trying to achieve. And I think physically, yes, it's going to be a challenge, but mentally you need to overcome these challenges. And I think that that from George, it was well said. As long as you're committed, it just depends on how committed you are and what your goal is. And I think that's probably what I would leave that with. Those are the factors that would allow the individual to come back strong or not strong. Some people come back really well. Some people don't come back at all because they're struggling to overcome this mental struggle to be able to come back in the same position. They want to just slot back in where they were before, and not necessarily going to be that way. So
yeah, it's true. And could you please give everyone out there any contact details?
Okay, so I'll say this slowly so people can write this down. You have so I have my website, www.trainforspeed.co.uk, and that's yeah, so that's live. You also have my Instagram, Train for Speed UK. So you can go on those factors. In regards to if you wanted to send me an email, that's another factor. You can send me an email. So it's trainforspeeduk@gmail.com. And if anyone has any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them. And yeah, I mean, that's for me, it's yeah. So if they wanted to, go on the website, have a look. There are some bands on there, and you can purchase your bands. I think if via the affiliation, obviously you could create. I think that there's a code that you have for them. So yeah, so we can go from there. But yeah, so I don't know if those are the contact details if they wanted to speak to me or they wanted to get in contact in regards to speed.
No, great stuff, and again, Jeffrey, thank you so much, and again, just a kind of sneak peek in terms of what we're going to be doing. We're going to be doing like a lot of exercises.
Yeah.
Again, for like speed, for footballers, for Sunday League footballers, for recovery, for like people at home sitting down, for like people who are recovering from it. There's so many great ideas that I know that you will literally create, and you definitely have the vision. So honestly, Jeffrey, thank you so much.
No problem. That's good, and I'm happy to share my ideas if anyone wants to know things that they could do. What I would always say is speak to your coaches first, because at the end of the day, coach might have an idea already that he wants to put in place, but in regards to understanding what speed's about, I'm more than happy to answer any questions.
No, great stuff. And again, thank you so much. And again, thank you to everyone that's that's been watching. Thank you to everyone that's contributed. I appreciate you. I know Jeffrey does. I salute anyone that's like in any sort of sport. I salute anyone that's looking to get back into fitness, i.e. myself. I salute anyone that's that's in business, that's striving to do better. I just literally love anyone that's just positive. It's as simple as that. So again, Jeffrey, thank you so much.
No problem.
Guys, my name's Tabrice. This has been the Amateur Football YouTube channel. I will see you guys real soon. Again, take care of yourself. And you know what? Again, watch out for some great interviews, some great insights as well. So guys, see you guys later.